Boo! We're back. I'm sure you guys were waiting. So it's Nick again. We're here at tnoozLIVE at Arival event in Las Vegas. Today's session is presented by Rezdy, and today I'm here. Kelsey, right? It's Kelsey Tonner or Tanner Kelsey?
Kelsey Tonner.
Tonner. Got
That's
it.
right.
Because it's like one of those things where, I have a friend named Zachary Scott, and sometimes we joke his name is Scott Zachary. So I'm very excited to talk to you, as I was just mentioning. You have a great session speaking today or tomorrow. Is it later?
It's this afternoon.
This afternoon, and it's creating a 5-star experience for guests.
You betcha. Right? You
so
betcha.
Give a quick introduction to the viewers, and then I want to talk about that topic.
Sure. Well, our mission is really to inspire, motivate, and train tour leaders to create incredible experiences for travelers. We all have been on a tour and maybe had a mediocre experience or kind of a forgettable one. I think there's a reality that's happened with the advent of smartphones and Wikipedia and the internet that what it means to be a guide and a tour leader has really changed a lot, right? It's less about facts, information, statistics, and more about a lot of these other soft skills, about making people feel welcome, managing challenges that come up, telling powerful stories that connect you to a place. It's so much more important than that traditional role of just communicating raw data to people.
And that performative aspect, right? Like, because you have to do the same thing. It's like being a performance, right? That you got to still be interesting every single day, 4 tours a day.
Absolutely, and I love the analogy too. You think back of who your favorite teacher was, and that there was probably something in the way that they were presenting it, that they were bringing a topic to life for you that made it so engaging. And it might have been, like for me, it was, this World War II history teacher from like high school, but I just never forget the way that he made that information resonate with us, the way that he brought it to life. And that's what I think a really amazing tour leader should be doing.
It's telling that story and finding it, right? For each audience, it's a little different probably
Exactly,
too, right? Yeah.
Exactly. There's so many companies that, even in our, say, training or when we're approaching, it's like, here's the script, memorize this, here's some other information you need to know. And we really encourage people to move away from that because, you want to tell a different story to a different audience. You want to adapt your tour to who's on it. If you're giving the same tour over and over, even though the people on your tour are changing from different countries, from different places, different age groups, demographics, then you're really missing an opportunity to connect with people on a more individual level.
Is there a data-driven way to know that if your tour mix is like, this type of gender and that gender, and then this mix of countries, like does that kind of exist of like the way could you make that happen, I guess? Storytelling matched to like a tour demographic mix or?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of data, I don't think we're quite there yet, but it would certainly be using your intuitions. And this is what great leaders do, right? It's the same sort of skills. When you have a group, you're managing those group dynamics, different personalities, different backgrounds. How do you get people on the same page? And especially for a tour activity, how do you create a sense of journey or a sense that we're doing something really special today together? And a lot of that has to do with intuition, with reading people, right? And even with that data, just because you're a certain age or you're from a certain country, it doesn't necessarily mean that you fit a profile, right? You need to treat people as individuals, even on your group tours. And that's what we hope to inspire tour leaders to do.
Soft skills.
Yeah,
the hardest to learn.
Yeah, exactly. But we continue to emphasize that we don't just want to throw our hands up and be like, oh, you need to be born with it. They're just good leaders, and if you don't have it, you don't got it. We don't believe in that. We really focus in. One of the great things that I get to do with Be a Better Guide, our business, is we go around the world and film the best tour leaders, the best tour guides on the planet. And then we put this into our learning database so you can shadow and learn from some of the most amazing tour leaders out there.
And not have to go, because you guys did the investment to make that happen.
Exactly. So we use learning software so you can do it from your phone, from your tablet, at home, whether you're in Honolulu or Quebec City or Cambodia. So we want to bring the world's best tour leaders to you, combined with, like, what does actually great customer service look like? Like, practically, down to earth, okay, the tour's starting in 20 minutes. What does this look like? And give that type of practical advice.
That's a cool business. Well done in kind of creating a little niche of something that needed to happen.
That's right. And we're some of the first who are doing this online. So we have a free training hub at beabetterguide.com where we're giving away lots of stuff for free. And we encourage people to use that training and share it. And a lot of it, the guide community and tour leading community are sharing it. And then we have sort of paid and premium programs where we say, hey, if you love that, we've got all kinds more. But we're kind of the first to do it online in this way to try and leverage that technology to hopefully make lives easier for tour and activity operators too, because there's a million and one things to do every day. And unfortunately, I think that training sometimes falls by the wayside.
Absolutely. It's funny that I basically pitched your business I was at a Travel Daily conference in Shanghai, and they asked me kind of what is there in Chinese, and they were kind of saying, what is something that's like underserved, or like what are we not doing? And I just looked up and I said the back office. Like no one ever wants to build the next sexy consumer thing, but no one thinks about training the back office. Like what is hospitality? What is the great experience? And it's so funny because it's the same thing. It's like why don't we have an online software that's like this standardized thing where like, I mean there are some obviously, right? There's schools and things, but that stuff gets outdated. And also, like, maybe it doesn't come from the corporate world. Like, maybe this is a good time for a vendor to come in for sure.
Yeah. And it's true. When we think about customer service, our focus right now is, of course, once they get on the tour. But when we're working with tour and activity businesses, we're talking about all of those touch points that you have with the customer. How can you wow and delight them or surprise them or provide value, even when you're just sending your booking reminder email or, hey, here's where we're meeting, or, hey, leave us a review email. What can you provide in there that's going to provide value to your clients and customers? Because that is extending out that wonderful experience of your business. But that does take some training on the back end, like you're saying.
And ongoing. It's not, you're not just perfect. Sometimes your charm diminishes sometimes. Like sometimes it's like just been a tough year, So I think that's really smart. So you have certified guides, and that's something they can earn. Or walk me through what you get at the end of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're essentially a private training company. So we provide our own certifications. We provide badges that we think will hopefully provide a competitive advantage, because we all know that there's a lot of copycat companies out there. There's a lot of great ideas, and as soon as you have it, somebody's going to come along and do the same thing. So one of the things that we try and provide tour and activity operators is signifiers to their clients or their customers that, hey, we really care about guest experience. We invest in our guides and our training. So we provide those types of certifications and guides, which is separate from, we should clarify, the municipal certifications or countrywide certifications that some countries require. So if you're going to be a guide in Israel, this is a 1 to 2 year program, or Austria, or if you want to guide in New York, those certification programs exist, but honestly, we found that they've been a bit lacking in terms of what we're covering, which is those soft skills, the leadership skills, how to really tell powerful stories. Most of those certifications are making sure you have the right knowledge, that you're going to give accurate history. They touch on professionalism usually, but we're finding all kinds of certified guides who are coming to us looking for ongoing professional development. Hey, how can we be better? And a lot of them aren't. And that's just the world we live in. And I think we see a lot of disruptors coming into this space, like Airbnb, pushing and encouraging, hey, anybody can create a wonderful experience for a traveler. And so what my kind of mission is to step in there is, that's true, but these skills still apply. Whether you're a traditional guide or you want to be an Airbnb host and create awesome experiences in your neighborhood, I think that's fantastic. But you need to be trained too. There are skills that, a lot of folks who haven't been in a service space or service industry before are suddenly going to be in and with guests. And so we see some opportunity there too, as people start getting more and more reviews, they're going to say, oh wow, I'm going to have to step up my game to really provide that individualized service to be making sure that people are having a great time.
That was something that occurred to me with this is, do you think then that, reviews are a self-sorter that kind of act as a certification in a sense, that the 5 stars, or is it that we're just so used to, no one wants to give a 2-star review or 3, or that they're not that quite accurate, I guess, that the difference between 5-star and 4-star is not readily available. We don't really know what that means because it's different to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, in the ideal world, as we continue, I think, as a civilization, I guess, and tech companies continue to refine that process, because we all know the ways that, say, a site like TripAdvisor has been gamed in the past by maybe competitors, by other people, where there's a lot of frustration with things like accuracy in that. But what we do see in that peer-to-peer space is there is a lot of emphasis and a lot of value. People really do care a lot about the Focusrite surveys that highlight, an online review is starting to approach that word-of-mouth recommendation and is taken a lot more seriously than, say, some of the marketing and advertising and these sorts of things. So I think people are just going to have to recognize that your online reviews are going to matter more and more and more, especially as tourism continues to grow year after year after year. There's going to be more and more competition.
And if demand is still high, you can still have some pretty terrible hosts kind of or guides.
There's some companies, as far as I can tell, they seem to specialize in giving people the worst afternoons of their life.
Yep.
And they go on TripAdvisor.
They just turn and burn it, right? Because it's,
Exactly, and then and that's going to change. Those companies are going to come along, the ones that are getting it, the disruptors, and they're going to, it will change. It will change. And And this disruption is happening, I think, with a lot of the traditional guides right now. Oh, I'm a certified guy, I'm in Rome. Well, suddenly Airbnb is coming along and saying, well, actually, it's maybe more interesting to have a tour of Rome with just a local here. And hey, we have an army of locals who are interested in providing those experiences. It's going to be the same thing that's happening with the taxi companies fighting against Uber, and they're mad as hell, and they're saying, this isn't fair, and I had to work, and all. But it's ultimately the consumers, I think, are going to be driving a lot of that. If there's a ton of demand for these local Airbnb-like experiences and other companies like that, I think the traditional tour guide is going to have to evolve.
Do you think that the maybe low, some are not lower price point, but the generally lower price point of a tour and mobile bookings within 48 hours, do you think that makes it easier for like bad tours to kind of go under because people maybe are not doing as much research as when they buy a $500 hotel? Or do you think that, you know, if the reviews get put in the right way, it's actually going to be a quicker way for the better guides to go higher?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the bigger thing that will be at play is that there's going to be so much data that Airbnb and Expedia and TripAdvisor and Viator and a lot of these OTAs, they're going to have so much information, not only about your particular trip. They know that you're in Paris, and they know the hotel you're staying at, and they know all the tours and activities and great guides, great experiences that are around you, and they can serve them up to you by email, in an app. Then think about that over 5 years, right? So what you did on your Paris trip, what you loved, what you hated, what you didn't, and then, okay, we're now 5 years down the road, and they have all that data. I think they're going to get better and better at serving you exactly what you're looking for. But none of that affects the core issue, which we've been talking about, which is quality. And that's what a lot of tour and activity operators may not realize with big data. And as we get online in the next 5-10 years, your quality is going to matter more and more, because Viator will be the first to tell you that, hey, we've got 25 Taj Mahal tours. Which one are we going to serve to our customer? Well, the one that converts the most, the one that gets the most bookings, the one that gets the most sales, and that's going to be driven by reviews, by obviously your online presence in terms of tour descriptions, what is a unique selling proposition, what is actually a remarkable way to experience the Taj Mahal. Those are the ones that are going to get sold, and it's not even going to be a control. It's not like I can call up my buddy and say, hey, you know, where 50% of my sales just evaporated. It's because your competitor just clicked over that right number, that right metric, and we want to work with those companies, the ones that really care, that put the guests first.
So do you have to market then to the traveler itself, like do an education piece to make it so they understand what a certified guide is? That part of the strategy, or first it's just kind of get it out there and then they can click the badge, the consumer can click the badge and see? Or how do you make it so that certified guide is valuable to that end user?
Yeah, I think honestly that's where the online reviews come in, and even just the traditional way, the word of mouth recommendations. You know, when I'm talking with tour leaders or tour activity operators, you want to create an experience for them that's actually remarkable, meaning it's worth talking about. That, hey, if you're going to Oahu, you've got to do this, right? We did, and memories that last 10 years, not like a month, right? And if you think back of your most remarkable travel experiences, they're there, and those are the ones that get recommended. So that's where I think the value is yeah, the badges and the online reviews, all that is very important, but even more important, honestly, is that word of mouth, right? Creating something that's really going to attract people, right? We were just laughing that we've got a sign over here it's got this like lava tour, right?
So there's like a sign, there's I guess, yeah, like a video of a lava tour. Right,
lava tour. So
you
they're in Hawaii somewhere, they're pulling the boat up, and there's like lava splashing over, and like right away you're seeing like, wow, that is a really unique experience to have in Hawaii. I've never heard of that or seen it before. You can imagine that they're getting a lot of business because that's a unique thing. That's a different thing that other people haven't been doing, and capitalizing on that. And
it's kind of when you deal with the natural formation like the lava rocks, like, there's certain things that you don't have to work too hard. I mean, the lava's pouring out of the, that's pretty awesome. It's pretty hard to screw that one up.
As a guide, you hope so, right?
Or the boat sinks and then you screwed it up. So, I guess there's safety is maybe better. Well, this is really cool. What do you look in the next, let's say 18 months, let's give you 18 months out, where do you want to be? Are you satisfied with where you're at in the momentum? Are are there certain areas where you need to push forward, whether it's working with suppliers or working with these middlemen or?
Yeah, we have the Be a Better Guide community, which is essentially our email list, a community where we really want to encourage people to share best practices, to realize that we don't have to reinvent the wheel with a lot of this stuff, that great customer service looks very much the same, whether you're doing a walking tour in Vancouver or you're doing a snowmobile tour in Lake Tahoe. There's a lot of common themes. So what is amazing is that when we started doing say, our online workshops and putting out free training videos and resources is that those businesses find us. And so what I'd love to see over the next couple years is building up this global community of people that really, really care, that are creating amazing experiences for travelers, and that community is going to be invaluable. Because now we're almost self-sorting. The ones that don't care, that we're just trying to get meat wallets through the machine, I'm not interested in working with them, and what they're ultimately going to find is that consumers aren't interested in working with them. But if you believe what we believe, that we want to raise the bar on creating incredible experiences for travelers, then hey, let's do it together, and we'd love to help, and that's really exciting. Yeah, that's where I think the real opportunity is. And yeah, as we continue to grow, we hope that those things like badges and the brand recognition and the Be a Better Guide Academy and what we're doing will resonate more and more with people. Right?
Does that mean a booking platform is in the future to get
that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Right? Yeah. I am very mindful of the value of
it's a consumer, right? Yeah.
And not even just for me as I'm traveling. If I know that I've got these amazing guides that are attending our online workshops, enrolling in our programs, and they're running tours in Japan. When I go to Japan, of course I'm going to go to those guides, and I think that that's going to be really valuable. So that would be a very interesting thing to explore, is to look at where Viator was many years ago, where they were curating a little bit more than they are presently. And I think more and more people are going to look for that curated experience. Because
yeah, I mean, it's what people want. Like throughout this whole thing, we were talking to suppliers today, it really is about finding that, like, it's not just the experience, but it's the best experience. That's what, of course, everyone wants the best, right? I mean, that's natural.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do like the idea, even if it's not a booking platform, it's just a community where, I can go to this website, see all these guides that I know are good, and then I can book on whatever site those, they point to or something like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
One last question on the Arival event itself. Obviously, the first one they've done.
Yep.
Well, why did you come? What do you hope to get out of the event the next 2 days, and what are your objectives, outcomes?
Sure. I was approached pretty early on by Bruce and Douglas and the founding team, and I think they saw what we're doing as our business is focusing on an area that doesn't get necessarily as much attention as things like distribution and marketing, but just as important as those sort of, imagine, three big things: distribution, marketing, and operations, or your actual product. And that's where we hammer that message over and over, and then provide the tools to get it done. And unfortunately, I think most tour and activity companies aren't spending enough money on their hiring and training, not recognizing that your tour leaders are making and breaking your experiences. And you can even be lulled into a false sense of security when you see that, wow, we're getting all these amazing 5-star reviews, and you start to look through and you're like, it's the same 2 guides over and over who are just getting the love, that people adore them. And it's like, wow, we actually don't have much of a presence from our other 18 guides. And that's interesting. So when those 2 leave, where does that leave?
And then why are they not training the other 18? Like, why do you have 2 that are great and 18 that are not?
Exactly. And this notion that 1 out of every 22 dissatisfied guests will say something, but the other 21 won't. So this sense of you've constantly got to be thinking, how can I make my tour experience better? How could I inspire, motivate, and train my tour leaders to be better?
Guys, people don't buy tours twice usually. It's not a grocery store situation.
Potentially, but there are interesting scenarios where we're encouraging tour and activity operators to work with local businesses, the conferences, the meetings industry. If you can wow, delight, and impress the right people, that's a steady stream of people, and that helps you cover in the off season or shoulder season, right? Where you've got people coming to your city. I'm originally from Canada myself, so that's something that a lot of tourism providers struggle with. We've got kind of a down season, but there's creative ways. I know companies in Vancouver that are working with language schools. They're operating year-round, and they want cool, exciting, neat experiences, so you can tap into these sort of niche markets and say, yeah, hey, we provide these really wonderful experiences, and we'd love to work together. So there's opportunities all over.
And it's also pretty dangerous, with when something bad happens, like here in Vegas a couple weeks ago. It's like, the firms that are not well positioned are going to be the first ones to fold when like a dip happens. You know what I mean? Like when the dip comes, if it's a tragedy or just a natural dip, I generally think that those who aren't thinking about those sort of issues are going to be the first to struggle.
Yeah, and this data shift is going to happen, right?
Yep.
Right now, if Viator is 70% of your business, if some metric clicks over and all of a sudden they're not promoting your tour activity, that's a big hit. That's going to be a big hit. And so you got to be heads down on quality, guest experience, of course, and then also diversifying. And that's where getting your distribution and coming up with different channels really makes a big difference.
And word of mouth is free. there's no commission on word of mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you could build that business without paying the commissions, your margins are also better.
Yeah, and this I'm telling you, people don't believe it, but I mean, there's tours. There's a guide in Rothenburg, which in Germany, and he came up with the idea of the Night Watchman tour.
Okay.
And so he dressed up as a night watchman. It's kind of a medieval city, lots of visitors, and the tour went gangbusters. Like, it was a unique thing. It was different than all the other walking tours. So who picks him up? Rick Steves, of course, from what's happening, BBC Travel. Next thing you know, his tours are enormously popular because he gave a really incredible and remarkable experience. And that word of mouth was a big part of that.
And
hey, if you're going to Rothenburg, you got to do this. Yeah. And I've worked for tour operators too, where I was planning itineraries, where I come in and say, oh, that's an amazing guide. Here, I'm got 25 dates right there. I'm going to lock you in right now because everybody's looking for quality.
Smart. Keep that quality up. That's the key lesson. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. I think we're having a little lunch break, which is great. Thank you for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Great talking to you.
Good luck with the rest of the conference. And we're going to be back in, like, I guess 30 minutes, guys, roughly. What time are we at? I have no watch. 45 minutes. We'll be back. We're on Pacific Standard Time. This is tnoozLIVE at the Arival event in Las Vegas, and we're presented by Rezdy. Thank you for watching in the morning, and we'll see you in the afternoon.